Psalms in this book, or this portion of the larger book of Psalms that have an end time a focus to them, are predominantly all of the Psalms of Asaph, which are Psalms 73 through 83. And in stark contrast to the glorious vision held out for Jesus' reign in Psalm 72, it's like the book 3 turns the page and we plummet into the thicket of the dark forest of Israel in trouble. And these Psalms have a growing themes in them that culminate eschatologically. Now, Asaph, we mentioned just briefly in our Psalms from Book 2, he wrote Psalm 50. And he was, in Psalm 50, described how the Lord is going to gather Israel for judgment, that's to Israel, gather the Jewish people to Israel to judge His people, and gather the heavens and the earth as witnesses, and the nations also, hostile nations, to gather to Israel. It's pretty intense, like the Lord's initiating this. And what's even quite interesting is that Asaph's name actually means to gather. Like his own name is embodiment of the gathering of Israel, the gathering of the nations, the gathering of those to watch and to perceive how God is going to deal with Israel, because it's intended to be instructive for the nations in the end times into the millennial reign of Jesus. Now, these 11 Psalms, Psalms 73 to 83, we find that they intercede for God to gather Israel, to bring to remembrance His promises, and to deliver Jacob out of the day of trouble. That's a key idea in all of these Psalms, to be delivered out of the day of trouble, which points to Jacob's trouble, that intensity of time frame right before Jesus returns. And so these Psalms ask repeatedly, why does your anger smoke against us, O God? And how long until it ends? These Psalms recognize that Israel is under the intense judgment, the smoking anger of God. And they're constantly asking the questions, when is this going to end? And furthermore, in these 11 Psalms, we find that this eschatological day of trouble climaxes in Psalm 82 and 83, where the very gods of the nations of Psalm 82 that are behind the idols of the nations are Yahweh, Jesus, is asked to arise and to judge, and He casts them to the earth. And then, interestingly, in Psalm 83, we find this culmination of a 10-nation coalition surrounding Israel to drive her off from even being known in the world. And so it seems to give indication of the Revelation chapter 12, where the heavens are commissioned to rejoice in Psalm 82, because God is driving out all of the principalities and the powers of the air to the earth. But woe to the earth! And the culmination of the woe to the earth in Psalm 83 is all the nations surrounding Israel to destroy her. But Israel ends with intercession at the end of Psalm 83, lifting their cry to God, asking God to deal with the hostile nations the same way that He dealt with them in the days of Gideon.